Happy Friday. Again, the sun is shining. So I know the sun is always shining on our Facebook Live. So today, I am very excited to have Brian Gordon with us. He is he is from MAGA Limited, and he is here to talk to us about long-term care. He is an expert in the field, and welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me, Betsy. Nice to be
So
here.
go ahead.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me here.
No, great. So the first question is, who needs long-term care and when should you consider it? Because I know it's very expensive and
Right. So who needs it? I mean, everyone needs to have a long-term care plan in place. I think that if we live long enough, that the family should know what our wishes are and kind of what that plan is, whether it's going to be self-funding it, relying on Medicaid, or having insurance, cover some or a portion of that care. And the idea is that anybody who has family, it just gives them some direction on what to do and how to handle this if something should happen to them. So really, just about anybody should think about it.
So do you handle, I think what I'm hearing is you handle the whole plan with people. You just aren't, your goal is not to just sell them a policy, but to talk about.
Right. How they're going to fund this if something happens, and, who's going to take care of them, where they might want to go to. And the reality is most people don't really understand what the true cost of care is at the end of the day, what it really costs to stay at home, or be in an assisted living or a nursing home. Even the true cost, like if their kids are going to help take care of them, them taking off work, not being able to save as much money, putting maybe more money towards retirement. So we come in because most of our clients come to us, a lot come through what I call, good centers of influences, like a lot of financial advisors we work with, accountants, elder care attorneys, estate planning attorneys, families who are kind of down this path already with their parents, and some of them have insurance, some of them don't. It's just kind of giving some direction on what the thought is. Because if you ask anyone, I always say, do you intend on living a long life? And everyone's like, yes. And I said, well, what happens if you live that long life and happen to need care for the last 3 to 15 years of your life? How is your family, and how are you going to fund that? And how's that going to go for you? And most people kind of stare at you, like lost.
Right. Like, it's like they say about insurance, you don't need it until you need it. And then you're sorry you didn't have it.
Right.
That's right.
You can't react and get insurance. You actually got to plan ahead for that.
That's right. And I think today's world that we live in, let's face it, everything is expensive, and it's not going to get less expensive.
No, that's for sure.
So tell me, I've heard some things about long-term care policies that, they're super expensive, and then when you need them, they're not there. They go out of business. They're blah, blah, blah. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Right. So these plans, I can tell you that they function how they're supposed to function. A lot of people don't have a reality sometimes of what these benefit triggers are, and, how the plans work. And, you can't need help with your IADLs, and it can't be a convenience to you and your family. It's got to be that someone needs help with their activities of daily living. They're a danger or threat to themselves or others. And we can say that, really all 100% of all legitimate claims in our eyes have always been paid on our clients' behalf. Do they go perfectly? Absolutely not. You've got to go through some paperwork sometimes and do the intake calls with the carriers. But at the end of the day, things are made right for people, and we feel that the plans do a good job and do what they're supposed to. Today, there are more companies out of the business that are in the business. When I started back in 1990, we had over 125 companies to choose from. Today, we have maybe 2 handfuls to choose from. And a lot of those policies are more of the hybrid plans, which are incorporating the life insurance with that long-term care rider on it, which the really nice part about those plans is that the premiums are going to be guaranteed for our clients. So they can kind of budget it. They know what the premium is going to be for the next, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. And then they ultimately usually get those policies paid up for themselves.
Wow. And those policies, what's too old to buy those policies?
I mean, it all boils down to what someone's finances and what their budgets are. I will say with COVID and everything like that, I have had more people over 65 in the last year and a half come to me looking for long-term care than I've had in probably the previous 5 to 8 years before that.
And
So yeah, so usually you try to get into it when you're in your mid 40s, to your early 60s. But as long as someone's they're physically healthy and mentally healthy enough to buy the plans, we can go as high as age 79 with some carriers.
okay, so if you're 60 or 55 or 68, you still can look into this. It's not too late.
Right. No, absolutely. And the bottom line is that it's something that needs to be explored. And I don't really throw an age at this a lot of times because I have people in their 30s and in their early 40s buying long-term care. They may work with a financial advisor that knows that they're in the financial position to do it now. Or I've had people at that age bracket where they come to me and they say, hey, my mom or my dad was diagnosed with early onset dementia at age 56 or 57, and they're now 63, needing full care for themselves. So I'm always really careful with that. It's almost financially where you are in your life as opposed to a fixed age when someone should actually buy it.
Right.
If I would have waited till I was in my 50s, I would have paid a lot more money than buying it when we were in our mid 30s. And we have a paid up plan too, which is good.
Right. Because, but I do have a lot of peers who are just sort of, no, I'm too old and just shake their head to it. So that's not really true. Um,
Well,
and
it won't be cheap. It won't be cheap, I
yeah,
will tell you that. But again, it depends on what they're going to look for and what kind of plan they want. But it can
yeah,
be designed, you can design it many different ways. And I tell people just to look at it because you really don't know what you don't know a lot of times. It
right.
doesn't cost anything to get a quote.
Right.
And,
So they should just that's a really good point, Brian. People should really look at it and
and
they should look at it at every time, maybe when they get first start settling down, maybe get married, then after they have kids, and then again, that periodically they should visit this and not just put it out of their head. They should get a checkup.
right. And the important thing I tell people, even before they start to look at it, is the biggest gatekeeper today is someone's health. That's almost the first thing that someone should do is fill out like a health questionnaire or fully disclose what's going on so that they have the right expectations when they do obtain quotes. We have people that we sometimes can't even quote based on their health and different problems they might have. So that might answer their questions right away a lot of times.
Okay. Right. But if you have a 42-year-old in perfect health,
Yeah, that's
they should probably, it's can't be that expensive if they're, in the certain that they should maybe consider it because it'll be a lot more beneficial to them to start younger where they'll pay less than wait.
absolutely. The younger you are, there's no question that it's definitely less expensive over the years by getting into younger ages. It shows it time and time again. So
Right. Um, and then the other question is about claims and things. Now, do you help people with that, or once they buy the policy, how does that?
right. No, so we do assist our clients and the families with their claims. If they buy the policy from us, we
Okay.
can help them do we can explain how the intake works. And nowadays, I always tell people that there's probably been 7 or 8 different ways that claim intakes have happened over my 31 years of doing this. And nowadays, they actually work with the family. So if it's a family member or a power of attorney, or our clients, if they can do the intake over the phone, they will do that with them. But what we will do is we will lay out what the process is and
Okay.
all the numbers. And if there's any problems, that our clients will reach out to us to help us with on that end. We also do have a consulting side of our business where families are so spread out nowadays, and both a lot of kids are working and dual income families still today. So a lot of families will hire us to basically take care of their parents' claim with them, and
Oh,
we'll walk them through that process. If they don't buy the policy from us, we have a consulting side of our business where we assist people, and we also do it to really help the family just get it, understand what the process is and to make sure they have a successful claim. The family still is involved in it and they have to do work, just because they don't let the agents in my
Right.
office do as much work as they used to.
Right, but you can direct them as to, here's the phone number, here's the person, these are the questions they're going to ask, this is the
Correct.
information you have to, so they don't have to relearn the entire process. You've been
Exactly.
through it once or a million times, so
Right.
you know, right?
Absolutely. No, it is. And it's something that just gives them some good direction. And then they can bounce ideas off of us and concerns of theirs. And, a lot of families, when they start the claim, they go at it the wrong way. They're saying, my mom needs a ride to the doctor, needs to get her hair done, get her nails
Oh,
done, go to
right.
the grocery store. And those, as I mentioned earlier, are more of on a convenience basis. And the insurance is more there to help when someone needs help with their activities of daily living or a severe cognitive impairment. So
Okay.
we're always really clear on that. And as much as we'd like to say, yes, they can do it for convenience items, it's not really what it's designed for.
Okay. That's good. So is there anything else that I haven't thought of that maybe you'd like to add to?
The only thing I will mention, and I'll do it briefly because I don't want to get to do a deep dive on it, is that in the state of Washington, they recently came out with the Washington Cares Act. And that's basically a long-term care program that's going to be funded through the employees on a 0.6% income tax to them with no cap on the income.
Okay,
And
wait. Through the employees?
the employees will be paying that, yes. In the state of Washington, it's 0.58%. And if you already have coverage in place and it was in place by November 1st, you can opt out of the program as well in the state of Washington. And
so is this like something that you all employees will have be taxed on, like your Social Security that you pay a portion, or your unemployment insurance? And
yep, another line on there. And
okay.
Yep, and there's no cap on the income, and it's for W-2 employees
Okay.
that would be stuck doing it. And I believe it's ages 18 and above, based on what I've seen. And there's a lot of loose ends on it. There's a lot of things that can change along the way, which is somewhat scary. But the other thing I really wanted to mention is that we do have about anywhere from about 13 to 17 other states, depending on who I talk to, that are also interested in doing it. And us being in Illinois, Illinois is one of the states that's also looking at doing this. The one that's put out through the federal side, which is under the WISH Act, that one proposes that 3% comes out of the employer's pocket and 3% would, I'm sorry, 0.3% comes out of the employer and 0.3 would come out of the employee's pocket on that. So there's some different ideas behind it. And it's kind of one of these things that changes very quickly. And so I always put a disclaimer out when I talk about it, just because, this is as we know it as of today.
Right. It's just, but it's out there. And how would that pay out? Like Medicare? Like it would just pay out?
So without getting too technical, what Washington State does is they have it where it's needing help with 3 out of 10 activities of daily living or a cognitive impairment. You must stay in the state of Washington in order to capitalize on it. And right now it's $100 a day program for up to 1 year. That's how that program is set, with some built-in inflation on that as well.
So you're basically getting $100, which basically isn't going to get you much.
Right.
But so it sounds to me like, don't think that's going to substitute for, I mean, can't live on $100 a day in a community.
No, not in any that I know of that any of our clients or anybody in the countries would really be at these days.
Right.
No.
I mean, I'm not acting like it's nothing. I mean, because in a month it would be $3,200, or excuse me, 3,100 or 3,000.
Right, depending on the month. Yeah.
Yeah, there are no 32-day months. Make that very clear.
Feels like it sometimes, but no, you're right.
That's true. That's true. So. Okay, but so it's something, but it's
getting a start. And what I look at it is, what I'm doing is I feel like it's bringing more awareness to people.
Yes.
And people need to take this seriously. And, it's something that we want to have the conversations now. And you don't want to wait till this comes to law and it starts to be enforced and enacted. Because what happened in Washington is it really the insurance companies got bogged down, and we're probably 2 months behind, at least 2 months behind in a lot of cases in getting underwriting done on new cases. And it really affected the business for everybody right now. So, and then the insurance company stopped taking new applications. So we
Right.
had no one to work with at one point. So anybody in Washington was out of luck at that point.
Well, it's not just you, the business, but the consumer. If you need the policy, you
Right.
need the policy. You want to know if you're, and I don't mean to be, but if you have to wait 2 or 3 months, what if something happens to you in that time, or your situation changes and now you're sick? And,
So it
when you
just,
want one of these things, you want to be able to apply and in a timely manner get it. And I think what you said about awareness is really important because people didn't live as long. Now people are living much longer. And so there's a greater need. My grandparents, they didn't live that long. So, they weren't living into their 90s. And so,
right. No, it's something to think about. And it's something as we live longer and go through this, people start to understand what would I do a lot better. And, as even I grow older, I know even more why I do what I do and how we help people when they have a problem. This is a great way to help pay for the problem, and kind of just allows family to focus on the care and
right.
take some of the financial element. Or if you don't have insurance, a lot of my clients who don't buy it, their families know what accounts they're going to tap into first. So does their financial advisor, and then that's how they self-fund it. I don't say
Yes.
self-insure, they self-fund it because they're not an
Right.
insurance
Right.
company. So yes, but
Exactly.
they will
It's
do that.
exactly. And it's very expensive. So,
Right.
uh, even with the care, even with the long-term care, you might be dipping into those funds. So
Absolutely.
ab-
Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely such an important thing that you're doing, and so good to have you, Brian. If anybody wants your information, it is on my Facebook page. I'm going to have our conversation on my website and on my YouTube channel. So anyone that wants to get in touch with you can do so. They can call me, they can call you, and I just spread the word of how important it is. So I want to thank you for coming today and chatting.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, all right, everybody have a great week. Enjoy the weather. It's supposed to be really gorgeous.